This morning's reading is entitled We Are Worthy by Alondria Williams. We are worthy, not because of what we produce, but because of who we are. We are divine bodies of light and darkness. You are not worthy because of what you offer, not because of what is in your mind, not for the support you give to others, not for what you give to all. You are worthy and are whole just because. In this great turning, in this great pandemic, in this radical readjustment and alignment, we are not disposable, we are needed. We are the very people that have withstood everything that has been thrown at us as a people, and as Maya Angelou would say, still I rise. We arise from the pain, we rise from the grief, we arise from the limits people place on us and the limits we place on ourselves. We rise to be the children and the ancestors. We rise to be our true selves in relationship to our families and communities. Recognizing our liberating and whole selves, honoring them and others as we strive for abundant communities, abundant lives, abundant relationships, and abundant values and cultural manifestations. We are worthiness personified, you and I, and we are worthy and deserve a life where we are not always fighting for our existence. Imagine what we could create if we were not always in a struggle. Imagine what we could envision if we could just let go and just go there. So tired of always having to resist, to fight, demanding, pushing. To everyone that has the courage, the power, the ability to co-create what we want and need while rooting in what we can't lose and what we are, you are the visionary. You are the hope. You are the ancestors' dreams. No, you might not ever end up on some list somewhere, but you are on a list in someone's heart and mind. And if it's in how you move in the world so people can see by example, you are the embodiment of what we need. Thanks to all that are the embodiment not of productivity, but the embodiment of radical love, care, and sanctuary. It's time, embodiment, living one's values out loud. Let me every day live my values out loud. Let me every day live my values out loud. Our speaker today is remote. It's Reverend Dr. Michael Tino. Michael has been a UU religious professional since 1998 and has served our wider association in a number of posts. They were Reverend Kimberly's mentor through her preliminary fellowship to become a minister. Michael lives in Peekskill, New York with their husband and daughter. And his remarks today are summarized by, if our faith teaches us that every person is inherently worthy, it means that no one is dispensable. How does this change the way we gather, live, and advocate for justice? How does it change how we approach redemption and salvation?
Thank you so much for sharing those words written by my dear friend, Alandria Williams, who served our Association of Congregations as co-moderator before their untimely death. Beloveds, Western capitalism, from the culture that invented both whiteness and white supremacy, has as its core the need to consume. Resources are consumed to create wealth. And that wealth, as we all know, is not distributed evenly. Any of those of us paying attention to climate science knows what happens to our planet when its resources are consumed in this way. We know what happens to our atmosphere when carbon is wantonly burned. We know that the relationship between humanity and our Earth has been damaged, perhaps irreparably, by our addiction to consumption. What I believe we need to pay closer attention to, however, is how people are turned into the resources that get consumed in order to create wealth for a few, and the theological and spiritual implications of not disrupting that consumption. We need to understand that in order to consume people, our systems make them disposable. It's not a new phenomenon, to be sure. It's this very, very same greed that propelled European monarchs, backed by theological justification from the Christian church of their day, to colonize the global south and enslave people. It's the very same greed that led our Unitarian and our Universalist ancestors both to not be able to take a stance on the abolition of chattel slavery in the United States in the 19th century. Too many of them, Unitarians and Universalists both, were making too much money, treating people as property, and consuming their bodies in the creation of wealth. It's not new. And still we dither when it comes to claiming this as the profound moral problem at the center of our society. Still, we dither when faced with the need to name and oppose the toxic theology undergirding this consumption. And so today, I call us all to some bit of moral clarity. No one is disposable. Our Unitarian Universalist theology says so, and has in different wordings, but with the same intention, for at least as long as Unitarian Universalist theology has existed. We proclaim that every person has inherent worth and dignity. We proclaim that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity. We proclaim it again and again in different words, same meaning. And yet our society insists on making people disposable because it is the only way to justify consuming them in the name of profit. At the Church of the Larger Fellowship, the congregation that is our Unitarian Universalist without borders or walls, the congregation I am privileged to serve as co-lead minister of, we understand that incarcerated people are among those made disposable in our society. As was read earlier, the congregation I serve includes some 2,000 incarcerated Unitarian Universalists. And my accountability to my incarcerated beloved, the members of the congregation I serve, has called me to understand the ways in which our society has made them disposable. We label them with permanent labels that make them less than human. And we put them in systems that punish them rather than allow them to grow and transform and make amends and atonement for the things that they've done. Our incarcerated beloveds are the last legally enslaved people in the United States. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution that outlawed chattel slavery was written with an exception in it. The foundational document of the United States of America allows enslavement as punishment for a crime. And so incarcerated people in the United States are legally enslaved. Rather than giving them a chance at redemption, Rather than giving them a chance to be fully human, our systems of incarceration make them disposable. And we know that our society is addicted to the consumption when a state like California, one of the most liberal states in our union, failed to pass a proposition to ban slavery in the state. It happened only last year, beloveds, that they failed to pass that proposition on their ballot, and it failed. It failed because the state of California is addicted to the money it gets selling the labor of the incarcerated people in that state. They sell that labor and give the incarcerated people pennies for it. Incarcerated people in California earn $10 a day for fighting the wildfires that devastate so much of the state. $10 a day for putting their lives on the line fighting fires. And so the state of California lobbied against the proposition, and it failed. And it's just one illustration of many of the ways in which our society has made incarcerated people property, has made them disposable, has made them into resources available for the consumption of a few. Poor people, working class people, people who are at the economic margins of our society are made disposable in this country. We know it. Any of you who have been in that situation, any of you who are in that situation, any of you who are economically struggling right now, know that the theology of our country attaches a moral failing to poverty. And so it allows those of us who are not poor to look down on others and consume them as part of the enrichment of a few. We all saw it recently, just recently, and you in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, I have no doubt saw this most acutely in the government shutdown when 40 million people in our country, a full 12% of the population of the United States, were set to lose the SNAP benefits that allow them to feed themselves and feed their families, that allow them to survive. Working people who work sometimes 2 or 3 jobs but still do not earn enough money to buy food were made into political pawns. Were made into political pawns, and the President of the United States went to court to stop states from paying out the SNAP benefits because the government was shut down. He went to court to sue states that paid the benefits even though he refused to. It was a stark and revolting illustration of how poor people in our country are labeled as disposable. And in order to get the political will, in order to get the political backing to do that revolting thing, he had to convince his followers that there was something wrong with getting that benefit, that there was something wrong with the people who get that benefit, rather than something wrong with the system that allows people to go hungry. Think about that. Disabled people are made disposable in our society as well. The congregation I serve was founded for people who were geographically isolated from Unitarian Universalist congregations all over the world. But nowadays, the people that we serve are more physically and intellectually and mentally and cognitively isolated from our congregations. The people that I serve are more folks who cannot make it to congregations because of physical limitations, or cannot be in congregations because their brains do not allow them to process everything that is happening in person. And so I serve a lot of disabled people, and I understand acutely how disabled people are made disposable in our society. This week, when I was preparing the sermon I wanted to preach, I came across a reflection from a disability advocate online that I want to share from you. And I know them only by their online name, Tavelin. Tavelin writes, disability advocacy went wrong when it became about inspiration porn and labeling people differently abled and focusing on savants. Yes, it's incredible that that guy with no legs did a triathlon, but your sister with no legs will not. And she doesn't need prosthetics or 5-hour training days to deserve respect and compassion and accommodations. Yes, it's incredible that that autistic guy can look at a city from a helicopter for an hour and then draw the entire detailed skyline from memory when he lands, but your autistic friend cannot. And they don't need to have some special autism superpower in order to deserve respect and compassion and accommodations. Activism framed around we are just as capable means that when people are genuinely less capable, they are left behind, Tevelin writes. Activism framed around we are just as worthy is fundamental to radical compassion. But rather than making people disposable because of the things they are not capable for, our theology must understand them to be equally worthy human beings, worthy of access to our communities, worthy of equity in our society. Whenever we insist that someone's worth is variable, whenever we tie the worth of a human being to their ability to produce, whenever we come up with exceptions for when someone has worth, we make people disposable. And our faith, our Unitarian Universalist faith, teaches us to do better than this. Our Unitarian Universalist faith asks us to push back with all of our might against the forces that would throw any of us or our siblings away. Our faith asks us to save lives again and again by insisting that human worthiness is inherent, that it is baked into who we are, that nothing we can do takes it away from us, that nothing we can be takes it away from us, that no economic measure of our productivity can take away our inherent worthiness, that nothing can make us disposable, that nothing can make us ineligible for the equity that we seek in our society. And our covenant, that covenant that Unitarian Universalist congregations and hopefully all Unitarian Universalists are bound by, those sacred promises that we make to each other, that covenant asks us to build communities that are truly accessible, build communities that are truly equitable, build communities that embrace all of our siblings, that make no one disposable, that embrace all people, whatever worth is assigned to them by those external forces of society that we are called to reject. My dear friend, my ancestor, the late Elandria Williams, reminded us of this. He wrote, we are worthy, not because of what we produce, but because of who we are. We are divine bodies of light and darkness. You are not worthy because of what you offer, not because of what is in your mind, not for the support you give others, not for what you give at all. We are worthy and are whole just because. You, beloved, are worthy and whole just because. You are worthy and whole just because all people are worthy and whole just because all of the people that our society would make disposable are worthy and whole just because. Just because you are. Just because they are. Just because you exist. Just because they exist. Just because. May we build a world together in which everyone knows this, in which the prevailing theology of the day treats people as whole and worthy of respect, worthy of compassion, worthy of love, worthy of dignity, worthy of inclusion, and not as disposable. A world in which each one of our siblings, you included, are treated every day with this truth as a starting place, are treated every day with love at the center. May it be so. I've included in our order of service today a prompt for the congregational dialogue that I know that you sometimes engage in and that I was told is becoming rare. But we do reflections at the Church of the Larger Fellowship. And today, I want you to think about how it is that you remind yourself of your inherent worth. When society wants to make you disposable, when society tells you that you are not producing enough to be worthy of love, what is it that reminds you that you are inherently worthy just because? Thank you for engaging in that reflection.